Howdy folks, Spencer here, and today I'll be breaking down everything good and bad that has occurred over the past week in Star Trek Online, along with some updates for things to expect heading into November. As always, chapters to each section are listed down below. Starting with the bad news that dropped last Friday, two of STO's most senior artists, Hector Ortiz and Chris Menard, were let go. It's been several months since the last departures as far as I can recall, but this continues the tragic conclusion of Cryptic Studios and the development torch of its titles being handed off to the folks over at Decca Games. If you're not familiar with what all transpired there, I'll have some of my prior coverage on the transition of STO from Cryptic over to Decca linked down below. With Hector and Chris being let go, there isn't many of the original team left. Decca has brought people in, of course, over the past 2 years to continue development, but each person we lose from the original team is taking with them many years of experience. Hector had been at Cryptic since 2014, and Chris had been there working with Thomas for the past 15 years. And on top of that experience, both Hector and Chris have had a profound impact on shaping the visuals of the game to what we see every time we play. As a concept artist, Hector has had enormous impact on the design of various ships, maps, characters, and so on, and as Thomas had said, Hector codified the look of STO's unique 25th century Starfleet aesthetic. And for Chris on the visual effects side, he's been there since 2008 and has a wealth of experience dealing with the Cryptic engine to deliver whatever crazy requests the team had for him. Now, whenever I bring up any of the layoffs or dev departures, I do have to note that STO is still being actively developed. Decca intends to keep this game going for a very long time. But as Thomas said, STO will be diminished without their expertise and experience. Between Chris and Hector, that's 29 years of experience working at Cryptic. Even with Decca having folks trained up for those roles, that's two of the most senior level artists being let go. That is a loss of knowledge and capability for the team. To Chris and Hector, thanks for your work towards creating this virtual world that so many of us enjoy. I wish you both the best in your future endeavors. Now shifting over to the less depressing normal news coverage, I've been sick most of the past week in dealing with a poor reaction to a dosage adjustment on some medication, so there's a bit to get caught up on now that I can effectively talk again. I'm going to be starting with the most recent news and work backwards. And first up is a MUDs update for PC players. From today, October 28th through November 4th, there's going to be a 75% sale on all non-bundle items in the MUD store. This is due to the addition of 3 new items: the Tholian Technology Suite Universal Kit Module, the Photon Burst Ground Weapon, and the Dimensional Hypermass Torpedo Launcher. Each of these come in at a base cost of 8,000 Zen, or 2,000 Zen with the 75% discount. I don't think any of these items are worth it. Many of us got these items for free from events in 2024, we used them once or twice, and probably haven't touched them since. If you want them for thematic or collection reasons, go for it, but the only good thing about this MUDs update is that it takes us one step closer to a MUDs update that brings the Vovin to the store. And for console players, you all have a MUDs update as well. The MUDs Master of Science bundle is now live over there, and will be on a 50% discount through November 4th at noon Pacific. This is the bundle containing the Crossfield Science Spirit refit with the Universal Design Starship trait, the Voth Bastille, and Kratom Anorax. If you'd like to learn more about this bundle, I'll have my bundle breakdown linked down below. Next up, as many of you know, the Halloween event started last week. For the daily, doing a single patrol is enough each day. I don't recall if this is a new change for this year or if it was done last year, but that makes this event very easy to do. So my recommendation is to do the Witch's Brew Patrol on normal difficulty. Once you're used to it, you're going to be able to get it done in 4 to 5 minutes each day. This patrol does have 2 different middle phases, so in the one that I have in this recording, I got the room where you have to pick up the books and then put them back on the correct shelves. The other possible middle phase that you'll see here will put you in a room where you have to fight some spiders to get a key, but they both end up the same way, where you end up in the same boss fight. Takes a little bit of time waiting for the doors, but this is just so much simpler, so much easier to do than doing the skeleton patrol, where you have to get them into the light before you can damage them. And this is much less frustrating than going into the public queue, where whether intentionally or unintentionally, people are drawing the skeletons back out of the light, making that queue take longer. So this is just much better all around and is what I recommend you do. Now, shifting over to the notes from last week's 10 Forward stream, which the Sujuk Car thankfully has written up over on Reddit. I'll have that link below if you want to take a full look at everything there. The 6th part of the 2025 event campaign will be arriving on PC in November, either immediately after the Halloween event or following a 1-week red alert to separate the 2 events. They weren't quite sure if it was going to be a red alert separating or not on the stream. And for console players, that should then arrive in January, as we have seen with the event campaigns for the past couple of years. Now, the event is a feast event, so Bug Hunt or the Swarm as the daily TFO options. And the reward is something that people have been asking to see for a while, so even if you have completed your event campaign, you're likely going to want to play the event to get the reward. In that stream, they announced that there will be upcoming streams on the 4th and 11th to reveal some new ships. My guess is that we're going to see a new legendary ship from the upcoming legendary bundle revealed each week in the lead up to the bundle's release, perhaps around Black Friday. Now, as for what these ships are, a month ago I released a video guessing that the bundle would contain legendary variants of the Dalan, Nebula, and Negvar. I remain confident that those are the ships in this bundle. Stay tuned for further coverage as we learn more about these ships as November progresses. And next up is a huge change that hit the console version of the game last week and was left out of the patch notes. After nearly a decade, console players can now finally customize the power presets to move power where they actually want it to go. So console players can now set all powered weapons and dump the rest into auxiliary and engines rather than being forced to have high shield power as a secondary. In addition, if you're someone that frequently hits the power presets in combat on accident, you can just change all 4 settings to be the exact same thing. I'll have a video going out soon going over the recommended power settings for a variety of playstyles, but if you want to play around with this right now, just open up the Captain Commands window in Space and scroll down to customize power presets. And on the PC side of things, last week's patch brought with it another wave of fixes to address the Hellbore Light Starship trait from the Warden. This trait has been troubled since its release earlier this year. At launch, putting this on a Fire Wheeler Cannon Scatter Volley build while having a dummy beam overload or rapid fire on to trigger it resulted in it doing crazy amounts of damage in elite content, with some users seeing millions of DPS from this trait, which worked out to be upwards of 80 to 90% of their total damage output. It was effectively insta-killing elite bosses in some situations, and could be used to completely break some content like the Battle of Wolf 359 by taking the cube to 0% in the early phases, which then prevented the queue from completing. In addition, the way that Hellbore was working resulted in hundreds to thousands of lines of damage being dealt in a single frame, or fraction of a second, and that of course has server and client performance implications. Now, prior patches had managed to bring its performance down, but they failed to address the bulk of these issues, and I'm glad to say that it appears that last week's patch has finally done it. This patch did 4 things. Number 1 is addressing the ability for the whole damaging Hellbore ignition to go off multiple times upon a target's shield going offline. This is what resulted in the insta-kill effect of this trait. Number 2 is bringing the shield drain down from 5% to 2.5%. Just be aware, the tooltip still lists 5% as I have highlighted. That is just a noted text bug. Number 3 is reducing the frequency of explosion triggers and adding measures to prevent erroneous multi-proc issues, again helping with the insta-kill issue. And number 4 is better tracking for the sources that interact with this trait. Remember, Hellbore is a debuff that is applied by you or your allies to the foe, and then you or any allies shooting that foe with ranged weapons will cause the trait to do more to that foe. And when it comes to tracking Hellbore's performance, everything is detailed much better now in the combat log file after the update. But if you're looking at it on most parsers, it's a bit chaotic and will be rough to track, so I highly recommend you use the Combat Log Analyzer or CLA to assess Hellbore's performance. A huge thanks to Michi for reminding me earlier that in CLA you can create custom groups to make it much easier to track things like Hellbore. So you can see right now that I have a bunch of different entities under my damage that are doing Hellbore light damage. Now if I want to make this simpler, I'm going to go to Settings, go to Analysis, and I'm going to add a group here. I'm going to name the first one Hellbore Light Drain. And I'm going to do another here that is Hellbore Light Ignition. Now when I hit OK, it's going to reanalyze the parse, and you can see everything is now grouped up. So Hellbore Light Drain is now all grouped up there, and I can see all of the sources that contributed to my drain damage. And for the ignition, it's a bit further down, only 23k in this run, but you can see all of the sources in there as well. So CLA, again, makes it super easy to track what Hellbore is actually doing. Now, performance-wise, this trait has always leaned towards being for elite difficulty as it scales based on the shield capacity of your targets, and in that environment it can still do well, but the whole damaging ignition portion of the trait did get hit pretty hard, and honestly, it could use a slight bump upwards. Based on what I've seen, a 50 to 100% buff for the ignition hull damage would put this trait in a better position, and even then, I don't think it's a trait everyone needs to go out and slot. As is, it's a solid budget option to make it easier to deal with heavily shielded opponents, but outside of choosing Hive Space Elite, I'm not planning to drop any of my meta damage boosting traits for it. Now, if you want to use this trait on PC, I'd say you're safe to do so, but over on console, wait for the fix to go out over there. Overall, I do appreciate that the devs took time to properly address this and the multitude of issues associated with it. I know some folks on the player side are not happy about this getting fixed. I've even seen some saying that the devs should refund us in comments on other videos. But from day one, it was clear that this trait was broken and would eventually be addressed. The devs said to not buy this for the trait day one, as did myself and many others in the community. I can't think of another bugged ability that had this much communication out there warning to not buy it based on its bugged, broken performance. So if you bought it for the trait and ignored all of those warnings, I'm sorry, but this one's on you. And lastly, there's some PC-only giveaways that run until this Saturday around noon Central. First is over on the Builds Discord in the giveaways channel. There's 2 winners for this one, each getting an Echelon Intel Science Spearhead. All you have to do to enter is go to the giveaways channel and hit that blue party icon to have a chance to win. And second is over in the CasualSAB Discord. This one is for some of the ARC codes that I was given for the Borg Assimilation Pack. So this contains the Borg Exoskeletal Frame, the Liberated Borg Engineering Bridge Officer, and 12 bank slots. Again, all you have to do to enter is go to the giveaways channel and hit the blue party icon right below the giveaway post. And that is all I have for you guys today. While I wasn't able to record audio for most of the past week, I did get some background PowerPoint work done, so stay tuned because November is going to be packed with some very casual content. Thanks all for the continued support. See you all around.